I don't remember a time when I wasn't writing. I think that when I was like elementary school, I made little books. I remember one of my earliest little books was about a girl who could sing and that her singing healed people.
Oh.
And I actually think it's really sweet because my sister is a musician and she's also very much into advocacy and body positivity, and she has her own things that she runs. So I feel like I was imagining her before I knew her. Whatever that dream is inside of you, there are going to be people that don't understand it, or there are going to be people that are going to try to derail you, and it is up to you to decide that you are worthy of any dream that you claim. And I learned that because even after I started writing in my early 20s, there were plenty of people that stood against me who didn't get it. But it was for the first time I realized that I cared about me more. And so that's just a lesson that I wish I had learned earlier.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I act and I'm also an artist like everyone present here.
Awesome.
But like I always have this sort of fear at the back of my mind that my mother also says that it's not like, you can't just flourish at a job when you begin a job. And I don't understand why she's saying it as a job. I don't think it's a job, but I somehow fear that it may become a job and I might not want to be in that sort of space. So, I mean, I'm getting some good tips here.
Mental health, suicide prevention is not just sharing hotlines. It's about healthcare. It is about education. It is about making sure people have their basic human needs met. And so for all of those conversations to happen, we need to talk about it. And so I wrote very much with the desire or with the feeling that if this could save one life, then that is all it needed to do. And there's this big sense of, being strong and being a force and being, also the whole idea of labor and work and, the day-to-day grind and providing for your family, like all of those things can be so damaging for our mental health because we feel like we only are here to perform and to do labor. I saw that with my family, but like I mentioned this to you both last week. My father, is in his 50s, and he read my book, and he talked to me about the fact that we had an uncle who was institutionalized in Ecuador because no one knew what to do.
I love that you especially focus on the intersectionality of it all because, of course, me and Insha, as people of color, we definitely understand that sort of
different perspectives on mental health.
Different perspectives, of course. And just being able to acknowledge that mental health isn't white and people experience mental health differently. It's definitely something we want to amplify. So I really appreciate you. It's just talking a little bit more about that and especially addressing how common suicide is because nearly 8,000 people die by suicide in the world each year, which is roughly one death every 40 seconds, which is just absolutely traumatizing when you think about it.
And I knew that, no, my whole mission in life and in the world is to make sure that fellow humans feel loved and seen and that their life matters and it is worth fighting for. That is why I'm on this planet. To me, that's all that, for me and the work that I want to do in the world, it's everything. And so this book for me is everything. And I think that my experience writing it was cathartic and healing and necessary for me. Preparing it to be out in the world was also grappling with the idea of me being seen for these things. And I feel like it has contributed to my own sense of self and why I'm here. And I think that very often when we create art, we'll be blindsided by these moments or these realizations that, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm meant to do, even if it's just for right now. And so I think that the best, most beautiful thing for all of us to do is to continue to create art.
Yeah, because with writing, with being an artist, you are obviously going to face backlash because, you know, not everyone is going to like your work or just even themes like this. So, like you said, brace yourselves for whatever comes next. You have to be mentally prepared. Even if your book is about not being mentally prepared, you have to sort of, you know.
And I think that as a teenager, for me, I actually wrote letters myself to sort of keep me here, to keep me grounded, to keep me present. And I think that Ellie was always a teenager to me. Her voice was always a teenager to me because there is so much pain that young people grapple with. And I don't think they get enough credit for the work they do to work through their own trauma. And they also don't have, because they're in, you know, a lot of times in family dynamics or in social dynamics that can try to rob them of their own agency.
Teen is very different from the idea that, you know, adults have. So adults have a lot of things to worry, their family, their, you know, money. But teens, and they always think that what would teens have to worry about, because we're the ones making money, we're the ones struggling for it. And that honestly is the saddest thing ever, because teens have their own changes they go through and their own traumas, and sometimes it's much more than making money and, you know, holding a family together. It's much more deeper, much more traumatizing, and, you know, you have to struggle a lot with what you have at that point. And I feel like that's really important that teens do speak up and, you know, step out of that societal box of the idea of mental health, because the impression that adults have on teens is just you have to be in a box and you have to just live in a box. And if you
Yes, I really want to create, this is my big dream, is to create a massive community, but that feels very intimate, that feels like family, that includes young people at its forefront, that I can not only uplift their art in terms of mental health, but their voices. And I really want that we're all educated on how to be the best activists and advocates for our communities, for the topics and issues we love most or that are most important to us, but also for ourselves. There's so much there that I would love to unpack. Maybe one day I will, because being an advocate for yourself is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, that's why I think teen activism and advocacy is so important, because when people tell that I'm an advocate or I'm an activist, usually old people or just sometimes people their age are like, oh, you're an activist, like you've got nothing to do better with your life than being an activist. But I feel like everyone should be an activist, not just because they want to, you know, talk about mental health more, just because it just gives them a sort of belief or, you know, power that yes, they have the power to change the world, they have the power to change themselves as such. That is amazing, and it's really important. That's what advocacy and activism does to you. It not only allows you to talk about, you know, societal issues, but it also allows you to break the box and, you know, step out of the boundaries that the society has set upon us. So that is amazing.
And I had a reviewer also mention that they would love to see it as a play, which would be incredible. But I want it as a movie because, one, I see it in my head very cinematically, but also it's about the message. It's about the message. And, you know, books hit a certain readership and movies hit another. And so it's really, for me, just about getting it to as broad a viewership, a readership, a collective as possible.